embroidery. I saw the names. He wore them well, as lashes on his back. It was there and then that I could tell this man was more than that. I mean, I recognized this and that name there. So each to him was prized, stitched to him not to tear. But it was as if an epaulet, the name upon his shoulder, not storied as the rest, and yet clearly dear to him as golden. This name, my name, maybe. It could have been quite easily. A name without celebrity. But a dear friend to remember me. So Cindy was a groupie. No, she was a groupie. My wife, the groupie. Paul Rogers, bad company. I think there might a little reciprocity there too, if I ain't lying. I'm sorry, Miss Canada. Are you still married to Paul Rogers? Whatever. God bless both of you. But I'm thinking about well, yeah. I found out where he was. I stalked him. I bought those Venezuelan girls off with like 2 rounds of San Miguel's. It was easy extracting that information. They were reporters. There was a show there in Aruba concert. And my wife was a Paul Rogers. She kind of liked him. So I found out where he was staying. I trust my wife, okay? We had a good marriage. I trust my wife. I mean, it's not like she's going to go down to their hotel room there, find him in the lobby, and do not nice things. Things you shouldn't do, I mean, unless you're getting paid to do it. She would not have been getting paid to do it. I mean, for viewers' pleasure, audience. And I remember I wanted to write this for him because of something that happened at one of the shows. And I was so moved by this experience that I wanted to pay this man tribute. I even want to say I remember turning to God Daddy specifically and saying, guide my hand, help me. And it was boom, 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 boom. Done. No revisions. I got him too. I know it got to him. No, I know it went before Paul Rogers' eyes. I know he saw it. Things that happened later. Never mind. Inconsequential here. Which did my heart good. Because you see, I wrote this man, this lead singer, rock and roll singer. I wrote this poem to him because as I stood there in Union One Arena in Philly before they tore it down, or before they replaced it, Union One. Oh, on the floor, obviously, next to this, obviously. Oh, my little groupie wife. Oh. And I'm standing there, and he comes out after a set. The lights, they gotta be harsh up there. They sweating like pigs, man. He comes out after, I guess, he did a quick break set. And he has this long-sleeved white shirt on. Collared shirt. cuff shirt, I even want to say. Maybe a 60-40 blend. I want to say there was some linen there. It was a good looking shirt from my distance. And on this shirt, someone had stitched the names of musical artists who had passed away, who were passed away at that time, who were deceased. Big names. Names that many of us are going to recognize if I start rattling them off. But there was one name stitched to the rear of his left shoulder, near the apex of his shoulder, but to the rear slightly, on the backside. There was one name, Paul Kossoff. I know, right? Paul Kossoff. Now, this is a name that's high on the shirt. In fact, I don't think there are any names higher where they've been embroidered into the shirt. Now, this name, Paul Kossoff, is sharing a shirt with names like Otis Redding, Muddy Waters, Freddie Mercury, etc., etc. Now, if you know anything about music at all, I'm sure you know one of those names. Reasonably certain. You know one of them. You've heard them. These were all accomplished musicians. Paul Kossoff was his bassist way back in the 60s. I think I want to say their Free days, when the name of the band was Free, and it might even been just prior to that. I think he was Paul's bassist. I want to say he died due to drug complications, overdose. So I'm told. It played a part. It played a part. Whether he was pronounced dead from it, an overdose, whatever. But it was known it played a heavy part. Heavy drugs. And when I saw that name, sorry, don't bang on the table. And when I saw that name, it was like one of those, everything freezes, just everything freezes. Nobody's moving. I can't hear the music. I can't smell the extremely good marijuana. I hadn't started smoking then at that time. I've only started smoking for my blood pressure, and it saved my life. And I apologize to no one for it. Because my motives are different now. I do not use it to harm myself. And I believe that was a gift given to me by God. I was able to separate that from ethyl alcohol. I struggled with that, but the blood pressure medicines, they just weren't doing it, man. Sorry, I digress. I'm trying to justify and rationalize my usage of marijuana. There. Guilty. And the bottom line is, I feel better. All the way around. So, again, to somebody, I apologize to no one. So, I'm looking at, and everything stops, and I can't smell the reefer, and nobody's moving, and there's no sound, and there's no nothing, and there's this black name, Paul Kossoff, in heavy black thread. I can see it. That's how big the name is. I'm well over 7 paces, but I still have pretty good vision at that time. And when I saw that name, that man, that aging rock god entertainer, Paul Rodgers does have a good voice. If you're into rhythm and blues, because a lot of his influence are people like the African American scene from the 20th century. You'd be surprised how much rock and roll is drawn on that, and Negro spirituals and the like, etc. Just as an aside. Why you think Muddy Waters is on this British man's rock and roller show? Okay, all right. So, and I realized in that moment that this two-dimensional entertainer, this figure, in that moment became fully three dimensions. To me, he became a man. I could hear his heartbeat, if you will, and I loved him. Instantly, in that moment. Because when I saw the name Paul Kossoff, I realized that he remembered me. Now, here's the punchline, or not the punchline, but here's the peculiarity to this story that some of you may find interesting, some of you may not, some of you may dismiss it as a coincidence, what have you. I don't really care. You take it for what it's worth. When I sat down to write that poem, I really wanted to make it stick because he had moved my heart. I loved him. He was no longer an entertainer, and I had to fuck you and your autographs. I did try to get one from Joe Montana. I did. And the moment his security was like, come on, man, we're in Union Station. What do you say? He's with his family and kids. And I was like, you know what? You're right. And I turned around and walked away. I was the only one who knew Joe Montana was. It was one of those moments. I tell you what, though, if I'd been wearing a Staubach Cowboy shirt, jersey, and I had a Sharpie in my hand, I've been like, you need to step aside or I'm going to make a spectacle. And everybody in fucking Union Station is going to know that the 49ers quarterback, Joe Montana, is in here right now with his wife and kids. Because I'd have gone over and said, look, Joe, I'm going to be real quick. Here's the Sharpie. Just right on my back. Cowboys suck. And then sign it, Joe Montana. Please. Because I might get money for that shirt down the road. I'm thinking the long game. Memories. Misty, watercolored memories. How's that song go? I don't know. Like the windmills on my mind. Some bullshit like that. Okay, where the hell am I? I am so sorry, Father. In this context, I strike that. Where am I? Well, as I sat down, and I cheated this time because sometimes when I'm writing, I will directly turn to God Daddy and go, I need your help here. But most of the time, I know he's my wingman when it comes to my writing, and I know that he's watching over me. He's got my Heineken by 6 o'clock when I'm writing. But this time, I deliberately turned to him and said, help me. I want to convict this man with my love. If that makes sense. I want to charge this man with my love. I want to, help me, God. I want to laud him. How can I not? And it's interesting to me because if there's a certain pastor listening to this, that very poem, embroidery, was in one of your flyers. Church service flyers. Mini Munagoki Mosabi. Because when I would let people read it, and here comes the punchline. Where am I at? Hold on. This is perfect. About 15 minutes is because you don't like this punchline. Well, if you like God Daddy. If you don't have a belief in God Daddy, you're just going to be like, Why am I listening to this guy? Unsubscribe or whatever. Or can you block on YouTube? I don't know. Blocking, yeah, that's like horns on a car. Yeah, blocking people, that's like horns on a car, I think I want to say. It serves no real purpose. Because think of that, if you're blowing your horn, you're already into his cabin. Your cabin is already into his cabin, and hopefully you're both still alive, but probably one of you isn't. Yeah, see? What is a horn, really? Only there to make the other driver fucking nervous and jerk the wheel. Seems like. All right, come on. This has been a reasonable pose. Let me try that now. And so, I even want to say the young lady whose mother, Jackie, used to be the secretary there, was the one that was the impetus for getting it put in the flyer. Or at least heard it, underpinned it. Because I can't tell you how many people have read that and said, well, that's Jesus Christ. And I'm like, no, it's not. That's Paul Rogers, the lead singer of Bad Company, who was fronting for Queen at the time. And then I went back and I read the poem, and I was like, oh, you're good. Now, you are exceedingly good. You see, I asked for God Daddy to help me write the poem. And I have to believe that that's a good poem. I don't have to believe that. I know it is. It's one of my gifts, writing. But I have to believe that since I constructed, I proffered an offer to God Daddy. I asked for his assistance. I have to believe that God Daddy said, all right, I'll help you. And it'll be one-liner. It'll come out first time. My best pieces have. And that's how this one came out. Boom, 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 boom. And it was done. That was for emphasis. But now, I look at God Daddy helping me, because I believe he did write that. And I go, oh, you're really clever. You got a plug-in for your son at the same time. In fact, your desire, your love for your son has eclipsed my intent. Most of the people that read this see Jesus Christ. Oh, you're good. Oh, yeah. No. You have a relationship with God? The God. Now, how many times have I harped on this? Because I have time here. I made good time on this post. The God of your understanding. Yours. That's critical. That is absolutely critical. The God of your understanding. Because it is a personal relationship. Now you meditate on that. Anybody that's listening to that, if you don't fully, no, shut up and meditate on that. You must coddle a concept of a God that you can relate to. And don't worry, he'll help you.